I'm Linda Kidd with Westlake Village Art Guild, and I'm here at Daniel Raminfard's School and Studio. We're lucky enough to have this beautiful studio for us to tour today. So tell us a little bit about it, Daniel.
Welcome. So we recently moved to this area. We were originally in Los Angeles for over 20 years and moved into Agoura Hills. And during the move, I had made the decision to create a space that was not only a luxury studio for our students, but also for me, for my painting studio.
And how long have you been painting?
Since I was 9.
Wow.
So, yeah, a long time now.
Amazing.
A long time, close to 40 years.
So Daniel, how old are your students? Are they children or adults?
Most of our students are teens, as well as adults.
And do they have to have experience in art to start with you?
No, most students actually start with zero experience.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, these are some pretty good looking paintings for zero experience.
Yeah, these are, I mean, it's amazing what students can do once they understand the fundamentals, and that's really what we focus on. So almost every painting here is done by somebody who is a complete novice. And we really pride ourselves on focusing on those basic fundamentals: color, value, edge, shape. You know, those are what we drive over and over.
Do you teach drawing?
Yes, we do.
And is this oil or?
The majority of it is oil, but we also teach acrylic.
Okay, very good. So your background is a traditional oil background?
Yes. Yes, I was traditionally trained by an artist who was trained in Russia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, can we move into your studio and see some of your work?
Absolutely, yeah.
So this is totally amazing. Did you design this space?
My wife and I did, yeah. We worked very hard to create a space that was conducive to drawing and painting. So the lighting was the most important for us. But I think the second thing that we were really focused on was creating a space that felt really calm.
Oh, interesting.
That was very important to us because I believe that it's very difficult to be creative when you're not in a calm state of mind.
Huh.
So
that's an interesting thought. I hadn't ever heard that before.
Yeah. I mean, if you're stressed out, that's a great way to ruin any painting, right? So the opposite, you know, for me, that's really important.
Sometimes trying to learn the painting process is stressful enough.
Yeah, I know. And that's exactly, you know, I want whoever comes in here to be able to melt into a chair and start painting.
Well, this is just totally amazing. So show us your favorite work of your own.
Absolutely. So Linda, I have a few, but
sure.
my favorite landscape is probably this one. And this is Malibu Creek Park. And the reason why I like this one so much is because it's these really warm, earthy tones against a very cold gray sky. And there was just enough sunlight to hit those back mountains. And it just made the piece so special for me. It's very moody and dramatic. And I also love that tiny little road in the back that you just notice after you kind of gaze over the rest of the painting. So there's so much going on there. I really like this piece.
So you say this is your favorite landscape. Do you have other favorites?
Yes. I'll show you my favorite portraiture.
Okay. So now we're in your office?
Yeah, this is my office. And this painting is a painting that I made of my instructor.
Oh, the Russian fellow?
He's Persian, but he was Russian trained.
Okay.
And he was very tough on me. So I had very mixed feelings about making this painting. But ultimately, he did give me the gift of art. He did teach me how to paint, and he made me a proficient painter. So I decided to make a painting of him. That's actually my iPhone that is in his hand. So I wanted to create a really traditional piece, but have that modern element to it.
How fun. Did he see this?
He did.
What did he
think? Did. In the 20 years that I have known him, it was the very first time that he looked at one of my paintings and said, "This is outstanding work."
Woohoo!
So
that's really wonderful.
Which meant a lot.
Very interesting. So how do you decide on composition? I noticed in your landscape it was quite clear, but in here, how do you decide something like this?
So the way that I compose this figure is, for me, composition is really answering two basic questions. Number one is, does the negative space support the positive space? And does the positive space create a dynamic range for me to look through where my eye actually moves across the canvas? And if so, is it moving in circles? Is it moving up and down? Is it side to side? And those are like the very important strategic decisions that we have to make as artists so that we have a piece that reads, right? So I talk about that a lot during class. It's really important that a painting reads well. So for me, composition is design, and it's designing both the negative and positive space for it to really convey a story.
And do you think about the energy of the piece?
Sure, and I think the energy is more determined by color and value than it is by composition. So you could, if I painted this whole thing in a much brighter, poppier color, the energy of the piece would be totally different than kind of this more somber tone, which is very much like the kind of person that he is, very somber
and critical.
And critical. Yeah.
Now, were you already a perfectionist when you started this, or did he help make you one?
I think he helped make me one. And it's something that I try very hard to break out of, because I do encourage looseness. I do encourage students to get as loose as they can. But having said that, for me, some part of your painting needs to be really tight in order for the looseness to show. So I encourage students to have like a really loose background, and then in the main subject would be done very sharply, and so on and so forth. So like, for example, that painting up there, that's his painting, but I painted it as loosely as I could in contrast to how sharply I painted his face.
Did that bother him?
Probably, but you know, I think that he actually appreciated that his painting was even in the piece. So
there you go. Yeah. So now we're in front of some of your own work again. And how do you start a painting?
So in terms of starting a painting, one of the first things that I do is think about, again, the design and concept. Then I'll usually take a blank canvas and give it a wash. And the two washes that I start with is either going to be a black wash or a brown wash. So warm or cold, basically.
In oil?
In oil.
With turf?
With turf, that's right, that's right. And I'll wipe it down and then begin the drawing with a brush. But I can't stress enough, for me, especially what we teach in the school, is that no matter what you're doing, you're drawing. Painting is just drawing with a brush.
Okay.
So that for us here at the school, between me and my other instructor, is one of the things that we really try to drive, is that truly painting is drawing with a brush. You can't get away with not drawing. So this particular painting is an unfinished painting that I'm working on. And my next steps in terms of creating a painting is, what you'll see on this side is that everything has been refined. But actually, on the other side of it,
oh, yes.
Right? This is completely left undone. So I always block in my color and then I bring in my detail on top. So this is also a commission that I have that I'm almost done with. So I need to do some fine tuning, but again, same process, you know, just started with the wash, drew it all out with a brush, came in with my color block in, and then started to refine.
So Daniel, what kind of brushes are these? What's the brand?
Oh, the brand? These are Rosemary's,
okay.
Which, I mean, everybody knows now. It's like top of the line.
Yes.
They're excellent brushes.
And expensive.
They are expensive, yes. But I think they're worth
synthetic,
it.
Are they Rosemary's?
So the synthetics are silver. And that's what we sell here at the school.
Yes, I noticed you have a whole area. Maybe we can take a look at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
About your products.
We sell these to every single one of our students because they're very high quality for not a lot of money, and they hold their shape very well.
This feels almost like sable. It's so soft.
Yeah, but that's still a synthetic.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of color, I use M-Gram, and these are walnut oil paints, and I love walnut oil for a number of reasons. Most important is that they don't yellow.
Oh, interesting. Daniel, I see all sorts of things that I don't know anything about.
Okay.
What is this?
This is ground. So sometimes we sell raw canvas. And after it's stretched, you need grounding. So this is the stuff that you're actually going to put on to prime your canvas.
So instead of gesso?
So gesso is a acrylic base.
Right.
This is an oil ground, which is effectively the same thing.
So you don't need gesso once you've done this?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Very good. And then I saw some wax. What do you do with this?
So cold medium wax. This is the Italian impasto method, where they get that really thick chunk of paint, and they used cold wax. And this is essentially wax and Gamsol in it.
So you color the wax?
So you add this to your paint. They suggest no more than about 30%. So it's 60% paint, 30% wax. And then you place it on your canvas, and you usually place it with a palette knife to get a really thick chunk of paint, or you can do it with a brush. And you let it dry. It'll dry just a little bit smaller than the shape that you actually put down, but it'll have this powerful punch of form that's just kind of sitting right outside of the canvas.
So instead of using half a tube of paint to do that,
I recommend it on twofold. Half a tube of paint sitting on the canvas, there is a likelihood of it breaking off. Whereas this, the way that it is formulated, is designed for it to shrink a little bit when it dries. And so that actually protects it from the effect of it completely falling off.
Very interesting. So in your teaching, do you cover how students can make a living with art, or framing, or any of those kinds of things?
So mentoring them in that sense is a big part of what we do for some of our more advanced students. And I do talk about what my experience was in terms of creating a living around being an artist, and I help them find a way to channel their energies, especially if, like, for example, I find somebody who is more of an illustrator, then I will encourage them to move into that, and hopefully even get them connected to some of my friends who are in the industry and are illustrators themselves. Come and talk to this person, learn from them, see what their ideas and thoughts are about the direction you should take your artwork in.
So your students don't have to paint exactly like you do?
No, absolutely not. In fact, we really encourage them to create their own style and their own look. Our goal is to give them the tools they need to create the artwork that they want to make. So we're here to give them the technical skills, and we help them create their vision via learning their technical skills. So once they've got some of their basics down, the immediate question for us is, what direction do you want to go in? Are you looking to learn portraiture, landscape? Are you looking to do it in a very loose style, in a very tight style? We talk a lot about the different ways in which one can paint, the different modalities of painting. So it's really important for us to encourage students to really develop their own look.
And do they have to bring their paints every time and set up each time? And
they can, some do, but I'd like to show you the back of the studio where people keep their artwork.
Oh, that would.
Okay, so we're in the back part of the studio, and this area is designated for the students to put their work so that they don't have to take it home and they leave it here. This is also where we keep a lot of the supplies, and as you can see, we've got plenty of canvases.
Oh, yes.
And a whole array of supplies that are actually behind me, which I'm going to show you, as well as where students keep their art supplies.
I see you have some wooden panels. Do you like working on
Yeah,
that?
I love wooden panels. I love the idea of the way that the paint sits on a panel versus a canvas is completely different. Canvas sucks the paint in. You actually see the texture of the canvas unless you really work against that. Whereas with a panel, every stroke shows. And so depending on the style in which the student wants to learn, that's how we determine whether or not they're going to be working on a panel or on a canvas.
Oh, interesting. Also, I've cut holes in canvases.
Oh, yeah.
With a palette knife or scraping something or
or absolutely.
stretched it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we actually use a really high gauge canvas. These are 14 to 16 ounces. And so it's really thick and it's hard to cut a hole into it. And we also use fine linen, but those are for the more advanced students who know, how to work a canvas without getting it cut up.
And more for portraits? Or
Definitely more for portraits, yeah.
So this is the most gorgeous view of the hills of the Gura.
So the reason why we actually picked this spot was for two key reasons regarding the windows. Number one is all of these windows are north facing. So we're getting the north facing light. But more importantly is that it's up high and it's got this beautiful green hillside, which I think adds to the calmness of the studio, and it's something that I absolutely fell in love with. So we do pay a premium for it, but I think it's worth every single penny.
Do people ever paint the scenes they're seeing through these windows?
As a matter of fact, the very first day that I opened, one of my friends was visiting, who is a traveling artist, and she literally sat down on the couch facing outdoors and began drawing.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her. That's probably the first thing I would have done when I walked in.
Oh, I see about 20 million paintings out these windows. Yeah.
Easily.
So I have one other question. I noticed you have a lot of nudes. Do you ever do models?
Yes, all the time.
Oh, you do?
All the time. We do a workshop on head drawing and on figure drawing with a live model. We do workshops outdoors for plein air painting. And we actually have a workshop coming up on how to paint abstract.
Oh, that's interesting. So how would people find out about this and what it costs and how they could sign up if they were interested in your work?
So they could go to my website for my own work, which is danielraminfard.com. And if they want to go to the school is raminfardart.com.
Oh, very good. And are your prices there as well?
Everything is there.
Okay.
Yep.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for showing us your studio. It's just been amazingly gorgeous and a lovely day to do it.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to come out.
Thank you.